All right, sorry I wasn't able to get this out to you guys earlier. I was sick. I had got sick literally the day that I went to the theater to see Bad Boys Ride or Die. And yeah, I've been sick ever since. I don't know if you guys can tell like the change in my voice, but yeah, it's been a rough couple days and a rough weekend. Even though, Sunday was my birthday, so that was great, but I spent most of my time inside. You guys aren't here to hear about my birthday trials and tribulations. You guys are here to hear about Bad Boys 4 or Bad Boys Ride or Die, which honestly should have been called Bad Boys for Life, which is what the third one was called, but that's water under the bridge now. Bad Boys Ride or Die is a movie that I had a ton of fun with. In the beginning of the film, I was a little worried because it starts off in a very interesting, kind of supernatural place, and a place I wasn't necessarily expecting, but at the same time, it did make sense for the character of Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence is the character who's kind of going through this spiritual awakening, if you will. And because of that, it kind of gave a little bit more of a, I don't want to say sci-fi, but more a little bit of a spiritualistic tinge to the beginning of the movie. And honestly, I was half and half on that beginning. But once the movie hits its stride, once we get to the framing of Captain Howard, the movie starts to settle into itself and then kind of really take off from there and get into more of the traditional Bad Boys affair that we're used to, right? This movie I really enjoyed because it did some very big updates to our two main stars. I can't get into spoilers in terms of, as a matter of fact, no, let's get into spoilers. One of the things I really liked about the beginning of the film was that we get into Will Smith getting married, or I should say Mike Lowrey getting married. And that's something that I really enjoyed in this particular movie because I thought that over the past three films, we've talked a lot about where Mike Lowrey is going. Like, what are you doing with your life? You're the playboy, you're the thrill seeker, you're the guy in the shootout, shooting 100 bullets a scene, right? And killing a bunch of people, right? All over Miami. And you never really seem to settle in to yourself or slow down, especially in Bad Boys Rider or Bad Boys 3, Bad Boys for Life, when Captain Howard has that conversation with Mike Lowrey about where are you going? You're out here for revenge. You're out here trying to get the person who almost killed you and took your life. Where are you going, Mike? Like, what are you actually going to do with your life? And at this point, Mike Lowrey is damn near 50. You're a little old for the playboy life to just be in like constant random shootouts. Like, where are you actually going with your life? And it's really interesting because, as you can see on the other side of the Bad Boys crew, you have Martin Lawrence's character who has kind of reconciled himself to becoming this married, retired in the third one, a cop who's just kind of content with his life. His daughter's married. Reggie's a big part of the family. We'll talk about Reggie in a little bit because he plays a huge and spectacular role in this movie. And you can see Martin kind of settling into this, hey man, like we are old. Like if you ever watch the old Lethal Weapons films, like we're too old for this. Like Martin was the first person to recognize, hey man, we're a little too old for this. And I really like the fact that Mike Lowrey's marriage kind of slowed him down. But one of the things that I thought was really good with that was the PTSD that they added to the Mike Lowrey character. I thought that's really important because over the past like few movies, he's lost a lot of people, right? He lost Captain Howard. Now he's afraid of losing his new wife, and he has to be a lot more careful with the way in which he lives his life. He has someone who he has to take care of now. And I thought the PTSD part was really dope because I think people have this perception of PTSD, or panic attacks, I should say, actually. Panic attacks, you get those at a certain age, or if you didn't have them before, they won't creep up again. No, that's not true. Panic attacks can strike anyone at any time. He now cares for people. He now cannot live the life that he once lived, or as recklessly as he once used to live it. So now he's so concerned. He swung the pendulum from not caring nearly as much as he should to, I don't want to say caring too much, but caring so much to the point of anxiety. And I thought that that's a really good character development for Invincible Mike Lowry. I believe they call him in the movie like Bulletproof Mike. Like, and even the newspapers call him Bulletproof Mike, right? So I thought that that was a really good character change and update. Now on our other side, we have Marcus Burnett, who in the beginning of the film, he's at Will's wedding. He has a heart attack. He falls over. And now he had this vision of Captain Howard and being on a beach, seeing like where their future is going to end up. And he's like, I'm invincible now. God told me that I'm invincible. And it's funny because you see like, okay, no, now you're the reckless one. You're the person who's like in his own like Marcus Burnett way, because he's not like as reckless as Michael Lowry would be, but in his own Marcus Burnett way, or now he's just walking into traffic. He's being really silly, and I'm glad that they kind of toned that down towards the middle / towards the end of the movie, except for one great scene where he goes up against an alligator in the climax of the movie, and he gets shown, hey man, like I know that you got this new lease on life and you believe that you can't be touched, but nah, you can be touched. So swing that pendulum a little bit towards the middle so we can get in the right state of mind, in the right frame of reference for where you actually are. Yes, have your new lease on life, but chill out a little bit. Don't be going up against great big white alligators, 600-pound alligators, and thinking that you're going to survive, right? Or crocodiles, whichever one it was. And I thought that those two aspects of the movie really brought it together because you're showing them all grown up in a sense. Yes, they're in the 50s. Yes, they're like late stage in life. They're married, they have kids, and so on and so forth. But now they have finally grown up. It shows that you can grow no matter what stage of life you're at, right? Early 20s, late 50s, there's always room to grow in these areas. Now, besides all the philosophy and the growth as a human being, let's also just talk about the rest of the important parts of this movie. The action is super dope. It's age appropriate. They're not doing too many things that are like just out of pocket. Like there's one particular scene where they're driving a truck that was on fire while they're fleeing or actually chasing somebody, and the truck is on fire, and Marcus turns on the windshield wipers, and so the windshield wiper fluid comes on, and it just enrages the flame even more. Will's character is like, yo, you do know that windshield wiper fluid is flammable, right? Which, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I didn't know that. So I'm glad that movies can still teach us things as well. Armando, Will's son from the third one, is back. He's not a part of the crew, but a part of the crew. They have a lot of good character moments between Mike and Armando, which is facilitated by Marcus's character. That's one of the strengths of the movie, is finally having that reconciliation. It's not quick, it's earned, I believe. That was the crux of this film, is getting them together and having that reconciliation. And then on the other side, the other son-in-law or newfound son is Reggie. Reggie has the best scene in the movie. When the people are sent by our villain to go kidnap and take out Marcus's and Mike's family, Reggie goes full Marine. He starts shooting up the place, stab, stab, gun fu over here, gun fu over there. It's an amazing scene. And I love the character growth and the arc for Reggie from Bad Boys 2 all the way to Bad Boys Ride or Die, which is an amazing character. He might have one of the best like character growths throughout this entire series. And then the ending scene with him standing at the grill, is like, we gonna let that boy cook the chicken. Like, that was great. That was phenomenal. This movie is so much damn fun. The two negatives that I have is this, right? One, the villain's kind of weak sauce. He's kind of like, your little CIA, ex-CIA guy who was the real person who framed Captain Howard and was behind all the drug cartel connections and stuff like that. He was alright as a villain. Like, he's a good actor. Like, they perform well. And I thought that his little crew that he ran with, I thought that they were really interesting and could have been utilized a lot better. They're all kind of just like playing a back seat. When you saw Johnny Tapia, when you saw Pouchet from the first movie, and even the witch, Bruja, from Bad Boys 3, I thought that those are three really strong villains. I thought this villain was just alright. The other part that was really kind of lackadaisical for me was they have the character of like Captain Howard's daughter going after Armando for like a revenge plot. They really didn't put nearly enough energy into that as they should have. And ultimately, it kind of felt like an afterthought in the movie. When her and Armando had the altercation at the end of the movie, it was kind of lackluster because you knew she wasn't going to kill him and she was just going to let him go. I thought it would have been interesting if she did shoot him and he actually went on to run that way, but they didn't really do anything with that. This is one thing that's not a complaint, but something I would like to see going forward, which I don't think is going to happen, so I won't spend too much time on it. The first two Bad Boys movies were about cases, right? They had individual cases that they had to investigate and actually solve and stuff like that with Johnny Tapia and Boucher, as I mentioned before. And the last two movies have been more like personal vendetta types of movies. And I would like to see the story move back towards solving a case, because if you don't, and you continuously go back to this like personal vendetta kind of thing, you run the risk of becoming Fast and the Furious. And I don't want to see this franchise become just a mirror of Fast and the Furious, which is a franchise that I really enjoy. I really enjoy Fast and the Furious, all the way up until I want to say about Fast and Furious 8 is where it kind of starts tilting, and then it just kind of falls off the cliff. So I don't want to see it become that version of Fast and the Furious. So how many sparks would I give this movie? I'm going to give this film 3 sparks out of 5. I thought this was a very fun time. I thought a lot of the film really did some great introspective work on its characters while also providing us fun, laughs, action, and everything that you want from a Bad Boys movie at this stage of these characters' development, right? So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys next time.